everyone, and welcome to Community Spotlight, exclusively here on RCN. So glad you could join us. I'm Dan Mowdy. There is a wonderful event that is coming up in the city of Bethlehem on July 13th. It is the Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival. It is a wonderful experience for those that are experienced in the discipline of yoga, but also those that would like to be introduced in the grandest way possible, with all kinds of classes going on, demonstrations. Yogis will be there, both teaching and learning as well. And there's so much to do for the entire family that day. That's July 13th from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. the Saturday at Moravian College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Here to talk about this wonderful festival and the great benefits that it has for at-risk youth in the community, we have with us today Sheetal Contractor. She is an LMT, RYT 500. I'm going to find out what all those numbers and letters mean. She's a wellness coach, Pennsylvania licensed massage therapist, and a personal wellness coach as well. Sheetal, welcome to Community Spotlight.
Thank you.
Also here we have yoga teacher, writer, and podcaster, Jay Brown. Jay, welcome to Community Spotlight.
Thanks.
And rejoining us, the founder of this wonderful event and also instrumental in getting the Pratyush Sinha Foundation started, the executive director of the organization, Prabha Sinha. And Prabha, welcome to Community Spotlight.
Thank you.
She's also a yoga and mindfulness teacher as well. And I want to get contact information right out of the gate here. For Sheetal, you can find her at Soluna. That's S-O-L-U-N-A. Am I saying that properly?
That's correct, yeah.
Solutions.com. SolunaSolutions.com. Jay Brown can be found at jbrownyoga.com and the podcast at Jay Brown Yoga Talks. And Prabha, I guess we can find you at LehighValleyYogaFestival.com.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Prabha, if you could please take us back to prior to the last 6 years. How did this all get started, the festival and the foundation that helps children in the school systems, mostly in the inner cities?
So the festival was evolved actually about a year or so after I started the foundation. And the festival happened, just a group of us yoga teachers who wanted to have a festival in the Lehigh Valley, since we didn't have any here. And since I was part of the festival, they proposed that we would add my nonprofit as the one benefiting partially from the festival. So of course, I thought that was a great idea and jumped on it. But I was part of the festival anyway, and eventually, the way things happen, I was the sole person left running the festival. So now it's become 100% Pratyush Foundation effort to bring awareness to yoga, and of course, a big part of what we're doing now is mindfulness. So, and this is our 6th year. And the foundation started like about a year before the festival. So it's kind of all grown together, and it's like seeing your baby grow up.
I'll bet. We're going to talk more about the important work that the Pratyush Sinha Foundation does, and I hope I'm saying that close to the way it should be said. Such amazing work in schools, mindfulness, bringing that into the classroom, and the wonderful results that you've seen.
Yes.
Jay Brown, tell us a little bit about yourself, and as far as your intro into the world of yoga and your introduction to the Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival.
Oh, well, I got into yoga in the early 90s in New York City. It was a very formative time in yoga. It was just before it started to hit the mainstream. So when you first got to it, it was mostly in church basements and people's living rooms. And now we all know it is a pretty big business. I kind of came into it right at the cusp of that and kind of came into my adulthood, mostly along with that wave of yoga into the mainstream. I had a yoga center in Williamsburg, Brooklyn for 10 years.
Near the bridge?
Yeah. And when I got there, the neighborhood was one thing, but after 10 years, it went from, artist-inspired businesses and bodegas to, Starbucks and La Quinta. So, as the neighborhood changed, the yoga world's changed a lot too. And ultimately, I moved to the Lehigh Valley 2 years ago because I needed to make a change for me and my family. And I met Prabha not too long after I showed up, and she's sort of a hub. She knows everybody, and I wanted to get to know people here in the yoga community in the Lehigh Valley. And so last year I was traveling and I couldn't be at the festival, but this year I'm here, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. I think it's a really wonderful event, brings people together. It's an opportunity for me to meet more people here in the Lehigh Valley and to just share in the work that so many people are doing.
Fantastic. And we definitely want to talk a little more about the podcast that you host as well, on yoga. And the name is?
It's called J. Brown Yoga Talks. It's become kind of an oral history of what I'm talking about, of yoga coming into the mainstream, and kind of a watering hole for yoga teachers and yoga center owners to talk shop.
Fantastic. Sheetal Contractor, help me out with those numbers and letters. That's impressive. You have some certifications to tell us about.
Yeah, well, I started my yoga journey also in college. That's kind of when I took my first formal class. And after just being a yoga practicer for many years, I just had an epiphany one day that I think I want to teach this.
Fantastic.
So I went through the steps to get certified and started teaching. I was living in New Jersey at the time. I was a professional in a corporate environment at the time, so I was doing it part-time, and took a leap of faith in 2006, and quit the corporate lifestyle because I realized this is what I wanted to do. This was where my passion was, teaching yoga, and also I became a massage therapist right around the same time. So the holistic world was where I wanted to be, and so I started as a licensed massage therapist, and I started teaching yoga in different environments. Moved to the Lehigh Valley in 2008, and tried to establish myself here in the same way, and it's kind of evolved into my wellness coaching. So it's yoga-based wellness coaching.
Well done, and I'll tell you what, such an impressive gathering here. We're going to be talking more about your roles at the Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival, and again, if you're following at home, it's LehighValleyYogaFestival.com. We'll be back with more on this wonderful event happening July 13th in the city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Stay with us here on Community Spotlight. Wow, great promo. Yoga for everybody, and a special emphasis on hashtag mindfulness matters for the 6th annual Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival. And as you saw, it is coming back to Moravian College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for the 6th glorious year. That's all happening from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, July 13th. Hope you can make it there. Prabha, we talked about your foundation briefly in our first segment, but you do meaningful work in the public schools for a very special population of school child. Maybe you can help us out with how the foundation got started and the work that you do.
Yeah, I've shared with you before that the foundation, I created that, to honor my son who we lost in 2011. And my goal from the beginning was to have a reason to get up in the morning. And of course I got that, but at the same time it's completely changed. I've been growing with the foundation, and initially it was just yoga. I had thought of bringing yoga to kids and quickly realized that it was not going to happen in the way that I envisioned it. So there was no way the schools were going to give us time in the classroom to do yoga with the kids in the way that I wanted it. So then I got exposed to mindfulness and found this amazing program where we go into every classroom for 15 minutes. And that is much more feasible. The schools are open to that. And we've had community support in that. And as a result of that, we managed to get a really good grant, which now has allowed us to provide mindfulness in whole school mindfulness in 15 elementary schools in Allentown. Wow. So the children that are, like the most vulnerable of population in our community are being exposed to the benefits of mindfulness, and they learn tools for calming down, de-stressing, and so they are able to focus better, behave in healthy manners. So that's what the program now looks like. Of course, we're still doing yoga too as part of after-school programs.
Fantastic.
And as a matter of fact, now we're getting ready for the summer enrichment programs, which incorporates yoga and mindfulness.
Fantastic. And they seem to go hand in hand, don't they? Mindfulness and yoga.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Closely related, yeah.
It's the same thing, just, the way it's presented is a little different. So mindfulness does involve some movement too. So depending on what, what the kids need, we might, include some movement in there.
Fantastic. Yeah. And a tribute to you for really turning a difficult situation into something so wonderful and watching it grow. I know you had a lot to do with the growth and development of the Pratyush Sinha Foundation. Well done. And it goes even beyond mindfulness. It goes beyond at-risk population. I know in that promo on the screen briefly you saw trauma-informed mindfulness education, because who knows what these children may be dealing with outside of the school building.
Yeah, so we, trauma-informed education is a big piece of it, and this is actually not just for children, it's for all of us. We all have gone through some level of trauma. Right. Trauma has many faces, but especially with children, it's harder for them to express it, so it's important to address it. But we're also providing, we're working in the community, in the recovery world, and I guess I can mention it since it is official. We are going to be part of the first recovery high school in Bethlehem.
Fantastic.
So we're going to be doing trauma-informed yoga and mindfulness at the schools.
What a perfect fit. That is phenomenal. It's got to be rewarding, I think, to be a small part of something that goes beyond that one day at Moravian College.
Absolutely.
I think so. I know, most people who dedicate their lives to yoga have had a personal experience of it helping them. Like Prabha dealing with the loss of her son. I had a loss of my mother, and when you're able to use the tools of yoga to really help yourself, it becomes this powerful thing that you want to share. And when you see, I have a 9-year-old, and it's funny, you talk I'm a yoga teacher, and she would never learn yoga from me, but she had someone come and do a mindfulness class, and she learned yoga from them in school. But I don't care as long as she learns ways to help herself, to handle herself internally. It's kind of the stuff, honestly, my parents didn't learn that stuff. That wasn't in our culture as much in terms of people being able to manage themselves internally and to manage stress levels, and with all of it on the rise, what we can do to help ourselves and be well, and to be with our neighbors in a better way.
They say that the stress will come out one way or another. It's probably better to have that control, to be able to release it as you need to release it, rather than to not be able to let go of it for a long time.
Absolutely. And the theme this year of Mindfulness Matters is so valid, because it really does matter in the day-to-day, moment-to-moment, like you were just saying. And so when we practice mindfulness, whether we teach children this or whether we're practicing as adults, what it does is it allows us to come from a responsive place rather than a reactive place, which is what stress causes so many of us to do, is we react because of stress, and we're not in a good space to respond from a place of groundedness, calm, rational thinking, things like that. And so to develop those skills in children at an early age, I mean, that is just so meaningful and so powerful.
Absolutely. Such great work. And one great way to support it is to go have fun and learn all kinds of new stuff at the Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival. Again, it is July 13th, 8 to 6 at Moravian College in Bethlehem. We'll talk more about the festival and the roles that everybody here will be playing on that day. Stay with us on Community Spotlight. And welcome back to Community Spotlight. The Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival is getting all of the focus right here. And again, that is happening on July 13th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Moravian College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, conveniently located for everyone who can hear the sound of my voice. We wanted to talk a little bit more about what to expect that day. And Prabha, you mentioned that even if you have no interest in participating in any yoga exercises that day, there'll definitely be something for interest there.
Right, yeah. So I do want to mention that we do have yoga for all people. Like, it doesn't matter what level you are, what kind of limitations, hesitations you might have. There's yoga for everybody. There's even like restorative yoga with sound healing, where all you do is you're laying down. So if that's what you're in the,
listen to stuff.
And then
Chill out.
besides the yoga, you know, we have advanced yoga, intermediate yoga, and then gentle yoga stuff. But then we also, this time, we've added Qigong. And we have Bollywood dancing and, you know, all kinds of meditations and mindfulness practices. And I'll let Jay and Sheetal talk about what they're offering. But basically, and of course, music's always been part of what we bring in. And another new thing that we're doing is healthy cooking demos this time.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, and we do have family
Yule
yoga.
will be there for that. Is that correct? Yule?
Yes, Yule and Jason Sizemore, who's like a leader in vegan cooking right now in the Valley.
Nice, nice. John and Diana Vitarelli will be there. Alicia Rambo, some of the names that are familiar to folks in the discipline of yoga.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So lots to do. 5 venues going on at the same time. If the one that you chose wasn't exactly the one you wanted, you can just jump out and jump into another one.
All around in the same location.
Fantastic. And Sheetal, I understand that speaking of one of the examples where there won't be yoga is one of your classes.
That's right. I'm going to be doing kind of an interactive discussion and presentation on applying ancient wisdom to modern times. So it's taking the old ancient teachings of yoga, kind of like yoga psychology, in fact, and then how we can apply those guidelines to our day-to-day life. Like, how do we use these teachings in our daily activities and what we do in our workplace, with our families. So really practical, and it'll be fun as well.
Fantastic. Jay Brown, you're going to make not just your class do stuff, but you're going to make the studio here do stuff, I understand.
Well, I have a program called Gentle is the New Advanced, and it's all about making practice very accessible to anybody and everybody. And someone said to me, oh, we want to do some practice here in a segment, and they were talking about having us do it, and I said, no, I'm only doing it if you're doing it, because you're asking what it's going to look like, so I think we can show people what it's going to look like right now. So very simply, I want to teach you a breathing, and maybe everybody out there watching too, a very simple breathing technique called ocean breathing, and what we're going to do is we're going to breathe through our nose, and we're going to see if we can make our breath longer and smoother. And one way to do that is you make a little bit of sound with your breath, like a hissing sound in your throat, like an H sound. I'll do it first, like this.
And you're doing that on an exhale.
That was an exhale first. They're easier than the inhales. Let's try it together, all right?
Sure.
Breathing through your nose. Let's all do it so he doesn't feel like he's alone. Breathing through your nose, take a deep inhale. As you exhale through your nose, see if you can make that sound go. That's it. Like a little valve in your throat all the way to the bottom. And try to do the inhale now too. It's not as easy. You got it. Perfect. And you see, to do that,
Should I see a doctor if I sound like this? No.
Well, no, sometimes they call it Darth Vader breathing.
There you go.
I think in order to do it, your mind has to come away from other things and has to go to your breathing, and then you're making your breath long, and that can do all kinds of things to your nervous system. But it's also a point of focus. We can also put movement to it. So let's try, all right? On an exhale all your air out. And on an inhale, you're going to just lift your arms up to a comfortable amount. Inhale your arms up. Just comfortable. It can go all the way up or just as much as comfortable. And then exhale, arms down. See if you can time it out. Like it's all together as one thing. Attention, breath, and body moving together. Take like a couple more breaths. Stay with it. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. So not only is this just a nice bit of movement and easing for your shoulders, but it's focusing your attention in your mind. Take a couple more breaths. Exhale. Let's have one more breath after this one. Everybody. At home too. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. And then just stop for a moment. Let go of doing the breathing. See how that feels.
Oh, wow. You know, third time up, my hands just stopped, they let go, basically. There was no tension in those hands, and it just kind of works your way up. That's amazing. What an effect.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's really about having facility with your mind, like the ability to put your mind on something, keep it there, and then release it at will, is over time like you're exercising a muscle, and then you get more facility, like you get to have more say about what your mind does. So it's not just pulling you around, but you get to steer it. That's basically what mindfulness is. Sometimes there's a lot of confusion around it, but it's really just you having a little bit more say about what your mind does, so you get to feel a little bit more grounded, like she was saying before in the other segment about operating from a place of responding rather than reacting.
Right.
And little tools like that can help.
Absolutely.
So we have the, Mindfulness Matters is our theme this year, and we have a panel discussion that Jay's actually going to lead, and we have some people well known in the Valley that are going to be part of the panel, and we'll be talking about mindfulness. Yeah.
Fantastic. It all really fits when you put it that way. I tell you, I can't like sit up in my chair anymore.
We're going to ruin you for the rest of the segment.
You've taken my hosting game away from me, and I don't care at this point. What a great feeling.
Very cool.
It's Jay Brown. We also want to acknowledge Sheetal Contractor and wish you both great success. I know your classes will be very popular, not because of this show, just because of who you are and what you guys do. Excellent work.
Thank you.
And of course, Prabha, thank you so much for bringing these fine guests together and for telling us the great benefits that go to the Pratyush Sinha Foundation.
100% of the benefits from the festival go to the foundation, and I work in the community, so we're doing a lot of different kinds of work. Yeah.
Lehigh Valley Yoga Festival.org. That's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us, folks. Good night, everybody.